Welcome to Monday Motivations, 52 weeks to a more purposeful you. This week, we have my dear friend, Steve Hurd on the show, and we're going to be talking about abundance. A little bit about Steve. Besides the fact, when I first met Steve, I think it was 2009?
Something like that.
2009. You were my second coaching client I ever had. So you were the second person to put your faith in me, in yourself for your goals. So,
Right.
and I always remember several months into our coaching client dynamic, I said, we will be friends for life.
Yes, you did.
And it's still going.
And no one's ever said that to me before or since. And, we've kept that promise to each other. You know what? I didn't realize that I was only your second client. I knew that you were new at it, but you were
You didn't
good
know
at
I was
it.
that new?
And you were good at it. And so, for your second go round or your second client, you did pretty well. I'm still here.
Yep. And you're still thriving. And speaking of which, I want to tell everybody else who you are. So Steve Hurd has been serving Folsom and Greater Sacramento area since 2002 as a real estate agent. He's a Bay Area transplant. He fell in love with the region so much so that he switched careers to help others discover it. I always say that Steve should be the mayor of Folsom, and I still think that's the case. So you can find Steve volunteering for community events such as Folsom Pro Rodeo, Folsom Live, music festivals, and many Chamber of Commerce events. He sits on the board of directors for Folsom Chamber of Commerce and serves as an ambassador. He is a former arts commissioner, former treasurer for Folsom Cordova Community Partnership, and graduated from the Folsom Leadership Academy. When not working and volunteering, he enjoys jogging or walking. Oh, it does say walking. I was just going to try to do a hit, but okay. Or biking Folsom's many miles of nature trails, including the recently completed Johnny Cash Trail. All of this adds up to a Steve knowing Folsom and its market very well. And he uses his knowledge to help guide buyers through the home buying process and helps them write winning offers on their homes. The other thing I would say, I know, you're like, who is that guy?
Wow, that sounds impressive. That can't be me. But you know what? I will tell you, and it sounds corny, but you know the best thing that I do is be a dad and a grandfather. Trumps all of that other stuff, which is good and helps me be part of the community and helps me, pay my bills. But there's nothing I like better than talking to my daughters or my grandsons.
Yep, and your sons-in-laws.
Yes, and my sons-in-laws. One of them is a great mechanic, and he's restoring an old truck. And the other is becoming a barbecue master and is dived headlong into that. And I enjoyed talking to both of them. I'm grateful that both my daughters found guys that work hard and cherish these jewels of women who I was fortunate enough to raise.
Well, when I was thinking about our time together today, I was just thinking about introducing you and what was I going to say about you, and whenever anybody or any organization wants to pick a speaker and introduce them, they always want. It's common to want to be able to be like, hey, here's somebody special. Here's what makes this person awesome. Here's why you should listen to them. And the truth is there's a lot of fancy things that I could say or other people could say about you. But the one thing that I am passionately most proud of about who you are as a person, and I could say you're an amazing human being, very noble, is that you are an amazing husband and father and grandfather, and you are not perfect. I will be the first to poke holes in you and jive with you and
Sure.
but you love your family and you put your family first. And there's a lot of very successful people who have done very well with their finances. And we met in the real estate industry, so we know what the goal is in real estate and in finances. But the one thing is, if we don't have healthy, loving relationships, we're absolutely bankrupt. So you're one of the richest people that I know. So.
Wow, that is great. Thanks for that. Yeah, I truly appreciate it. Those are great words, and I don't know if I can add to them. I'm just happy that you see me that way.
Well, and I just want to keep going on about it. And even as a mom, because when I met you, Skylar and Jaden were probably 6 and 8 or 7 and 9, around that age. And now they're 18 and 20. And as a mother, like, they know Steve Hurd, like, you have been there. I mean, you're not quite old enough to be my dad, or maybe you could be, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think I am. Yeah.
But as a young mom, and just trying to survive in this world, there was so many times that I would just get on the phone and be like remember when Skylar and Jaden and I'm like, I'm taking the kids on a vacation, and you're like, where are you going? And I'm like, I don't know, but we're in the car. And you're like, are your bags packed? I'm like, yeah. And like, well, what direction are you driving? I'm like, I'm on Highway 80 East, or no, West, Highway 80 West. Yeah. And you're like, well, you're going to San Francisco. Like, that's where I'm from. So, and you helped us, like, you booked our tour of
that's right.
Like, go here, go there, your travel skills kicked in. And then fast forward, when Skylar was getting her license, and I didn't have cash, and it was like during COVID, and you had to have cash, and we're literally in Folsom at the DMV, and Skylar's like, call Steve Hurd. And then we went and had lunch. You brought money to the DMV, cash. Yes. Like, hold on, I'm showing a house, I'll be right there. But I remember that time when we were going to San Francisco, and then Skylar's like, he's like God.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do remember guiding you through turns and where to go and park and all that stuff, and take that bay cruise and all that. So that was great. And now it is shocking to me to find that those kids are adults.
It's shocking to me.
It is. It's crazy. Well, I'm still shocked. My daughters are 28 and 33, and I have grandkids, and when you met Stephanie, she was just this little
teenager,
sport of a girl, and
she was a teenager.
Yeah, you're right. And
getting into trouble.
And now she's a fabulous human being. Both my daughters are,
Yeah. Okay. So should we talk about our topic? It's abundance.
Yes.
So what did you think about this week's topic, abundance?
Well, it's something that hits home for me, because, as I go through life and over the years, I've seen more people who were not doing well, more people who were down on their luck, or who weren't living nearly their best lives, or who were doing without, because they thought there wasn't enough for them, but there was enough all around them, and whether it comes to love or money or jobs or opportunities, they're everywhere. And I see more people discouraged because they don't see it than for the reality. They think they're being realistic, but the reality is there is abundance if you look for it and if you create it.
So when you think about your childhood and your background and your upbringing and this topic of abundance, would you say that you had a grasp of abundance back then, Or is it something that you developed and acquired over time?
Good question. So I had, I think that people who see abundance are optimistic. So my dad was very optimistic. He always seemed to be in a good mood, and he never seemed to worry. And sometimes if we are that type of person, as I can be, we can be goofing off when the house is on fire. And so you got to be careful with your level of optimism. But because he was optimistic, he never ran into problems that he didn't think he could solve. And I think that comes from an abundance mindset, that there are ways out there of solving a problem, whether it be financial or relationship wise. There are ways around them or through them if you open your eyes to it. So I think that's where it comes from. My dad being this eternal optimist, and then you prove it to yourself by finding solutions yourself, and you say, "Oh, the old man was right. If it's going to be, it's up to me."
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about, you mentioned, kind of being a natural optimist and having that natural abundance mindset. So what about people that are the opposite? So they maybe have a more realistic mindset. And I wouldn't want to always call it scarcity, but the opposite of abundance would be more of a scarcity approach. So, not making that way of looking at life wrong, but what's your take on interacting with people that see it differently?
Sometimes you just try to rub off on them or try to point some things out to them. I don't know that you can always convert someone who is pessimistic or has that conservative scarcity mindset to your way of thinking. Maybe you don't have to, but if you can point out in this situation how you do have more opportunity, there is more abundance than you were looking at. Have you thought of this? Have you tried that? And I think that if left to your own devices and you're already in that scarcity mindset, you're not getting out of it. So I do think it's important to have resources and a support system, family, friends, who you can bounce your ideas off, your questions, your woes, and get another perspective, because you might know a lot of people who are just like you, and then you know a few who are figuring it out. I was going to say have figured it out. None of us have figured it out yet. But I'm a believer in being a resource, and I'm a believer in using resources. So if you have a question, I'm going to help you find the answer, point you in the right direction, ask you questions, and then I'm going to do the same when it's time for me to need answers. I'm going to go to other people and other sources to look for them.
So how would you define an abundance mindset?
I think it is seeing possibilities as an abundance mindset, and a belief that there's enough, and a belief that you can make more. People talk about the American dream and getting your piece of the pie. And if you think of it as getting a piece of the pie, then you know that a pie is limited, and that for you to get a piece, maybe someone else doesn't get a piece. Whereas an abundance mindset would say, let's get together and make more pie, because there's an endless supply of pie if you do it that way. It's kind of simplistic, but that's the way that I look at it. I remember years ago, there's an agent who was pretty successful here in town. And I asked her, and we were somewhat friends, colleagues. I'd see her at a lot of events, and we always got along. And I asked her one day, how are you marketing? You've been pretty successful. How are you getting business? And she says, I'm not going to tell you, we're competitors. And I said, how many deals do you need to close a month to have a good living? And she said 3, maybe 4. And I said, well, we sell about 100 homes a month here in Folsom, where I live. And if there's 2 realtors involved on every transaction, that's 200 paychecks a month. You need 3 of them, maybe 4. Can you help me get a couple of the other 196? Because I only needed 2, you know. And she laughed but didn't agree. Over the years, I've shared ideas with other realtors, and the ones that we've shared ideas together, we end up doing business together. And I've given referrals to agents who I knew had that abundance mindset. So if you believe that there's more out there, or you can create more, you're going to get more. If you believe there's less, I remember Gary Keller of Keller Williams once said that you can't receive new ideas if your arms are closed around the ideas you have.
Yeah. Wow, man, I kind of want to anchor down a couple of things that you said. I like the part when you talked about I want to get me a piece of the pie.
Yes, and edit out me drinking water out of my Pyrex cup.
We'll edit out me drinking water out of Rusty's cup.
All right. All right, go ahead with that thought.
Yeah, so basically, I liked the part about, the mindset of just recognizing when we have that limited, like there's one pie.
Right.
It could be for anything, like parking. Like how many times are we little jerks in the parking lot because we're like, I want that one parking spot, and it's like, you know what, just park way at the end and walk, like, or keep driving around. One's gonna open up. Like, I mean,
yes, there's always going to be more parking.
Yeah, scarcity shows up in a lot of different ways, but it is that mindset of there's not enough. There's only so much.
Right.
And if I don't get mine, I won't get it. And you're saying, so where, like, is everybody in your family that way? Like, does everybody have that abundance mindset? Where do you think you got it from?
So,
I mean, I know your dad, but
so to the first answer, the first part of the question is, of course not. In our family is just like any other. Some of us are more conservative, liberal, open-minded, narrow-minded, scarcity, abundance. It's just, we've got a huge family, and so there's plenty of room for every personality type to have grown in it.
Every political, religious,
absolutely, you name it.
Mask wearing, no mask wearing, vaccinated, not vaccinated.
We've got the most diverse family I know. We have people of every race, religion, LGBTQ. It is a pretty broad spectrum, like it's a slice of the world, but no, not everyone has that. And so with people that are close to me, I try to give them the opportunity, or try to show them some of the opportunities. And it's amazing how people are dug into their beliefs, and so that they'll defend those beliefs even in the face of something different. Someone I know who was struggling work-wise and needed to earn more, and I made some suggestions. Well, where am I going to earn that much money now? And said, okay, let's look online. There are jobs that pay more than what you're making now, or you stick with the job that you have, and you don't have to make more today. But if you grow and advance into your company, you're going to eventually earn more. So, she was only seeing what's in front of her now. Financially, I'm not doing well, and I can't because the system is stacked against me. Whereas, she does have some great opportunities there. I don't know if I convinced her of that or not, but that's the way that I saw her situation. And she thought she was being realistic. I thought I was being realistic, you know.
Yeah. So you interact with a lot of different people and their
Right.
perspectives, their beliefs.
Sure.
How do you see this abundance or scarcity mindset show up, say, in real estate?
Well, all right. So we mentioned that agent who didn't want to share any of her methods because she felt that I would be a threat to her livelihood if she shared that, not seeing that, you know, we're a drop in the bucket. We only need a few out of hundreds in order to survive or thrive. And so, you know, today a guy asked on an online group, he said, I want to start farming. I want to start mailing monthly cards out to residents to, you know, introduce myself and keep me top of mind if they want to buy or sell a house. And he said, so I'm looking for an area that doesn't have one agent or agency controlling 35% of the market. I want to find a different area. And I said, what about the other 65% of the market?
Yeah.
He's worried that he won't crack that 35% while ignoring the 65%. And I told him a couple of things. One is that if that agent or agency only gets 35% of the market, even though they're marketing to it, that means 65% don't want to do business with them. And so be one of the ones that they do want to do business with. And he thanked me for that little bit of advice. That happened today, you know, so it was right on time for our business. And you and I have both seen people leave the industry because they didn't feel there was enough. And so we're in the same market. Someone will tell me I'm going to go do something else for a living because there's not enough business here for me. And we all had to start somewhere. We all had up and down years, and but the people that look for opportunities, create opportunities are the ones that are going to thrive, and the ones that only see challenges, they see abundance, an abundance of challenges that they can't deal with, and so they end up leaving.
Yeah. So so would you say Rose, your wife, she's a little more on the abundance mindset or more in the opposite direction?
Well, okay, so there has to be balance, right? Because I can be so optimistic that I will lose focus and trust in the universe too much. And you know, you still have to have works and deeds, still have to do the work. Just because it's out there doesn't mean you get some, right?
Law of attraction. Make a vision board and it'll come to you.
Yeah, all these people come knocking on the door. Hey, can you sell my house? No. So Rosemary, my wife of 36 years or something like that. Yeah, 36, I believe. She doesn't have that same perspective. And so she's the one that will keep me on track and keep me doing the things that help me take advantage of the abundance. You know, you and I have both volunteered on projects, and I love doing that. And then one day, some years ago, Rosemary said, you're volunteering too much and doing things for other people, and which is great, but now you need to do stuff for us. We need to pay some bills. So we have to go sell some houses. So it's really important to have balance. You know, if both of us were this abundance mindset, we might go, yeah, let's go to Reno and put it all on black. You know, there's always more money. I have a job, you know, so no, she balances me out with it. However, I have made her more optimistic, I think, over the years. And then she's drawn me to be more practical over the years. So we're almost meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
Not quite.
The yin and the yang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what advice would you give other people? So people are going to watch this on a Monday. Okay. So they're going to get the message. They're going to hear us talk. So So it's like, hey, Monday motivations, what is your advice to yourself and others about abundance?
All right. So you're a fan of Marianne Williamson,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was looking, I wanted to sound smart today. So I started looking for abundance quotes. And there's an abundance of abundance quotes, And so, and I read a whole lot of them, and some of them are great. But the one that Marianne Williamson, or was attributed to Marianne Williamson, is she says, the key to abundance is meeting limited circumstances with unlimited thoughts. So you have limited circumstances, but unlimited thoughts. That means you can get out of just about any predicament. You can think your way out of it. You can work your way out of it. So what advice I give to people, I said something earlier about this, is be a resource and seek out resources. And it can be something as simple as when our microwave went out and the panel wasn't working, and I Googled the cost of replacing it, and it was crazy. The part was, I don't know, $100, and then to put it in was 150, and the microwaves were 75 bucks. And but I thought there's got to be another way, and so I Googled, and here's a guy saying, hey, if this happens to your microwave panel, one of the reasons might be the ribbon came out from you slamming your door. Turn off the power, open it up. If it's sticking up, you push it back in. And I did that, and it worked. That's a really simple demonstration, but there's so many people out in the world who have knowledge. They can be sitting on your path waiting for you to seek them out for their knowledge. And most people want to share their knowledge. They're happy to share their knowledge with you. So seek out people, ask questions. I'm sure you've heard people, single women, say, oh, there are no good men out there. And then there are men going, oh, there are no good women out there. I think we should introduce those two,
Yes.
Right. So
yeah.
They're out there. They're out there. You have to be open to it, look for it, look for resources, and you'll find what you are looking for.
I love it. You know what? This is a perfect topic. I think this is going to go out after the first of the year. So we'll be in 2022. It's going to be a new year. It will have its own set of challenges like every year does. Speaking of abundance and a new year, 2022, what do you think about what's on the horizon this next year?
Well, I remember years ago, you and I talked about a theme for the year. Mm-hmm. And I remember one year mine was freedom. I wanted to buy my freedom. Still working on that, but I'm a little freer than I used to be. One year we talked about raising your thermostat.
Yes,
so
I remember that.
As it gets too cold, we turn the heat up, and so the same thing with our finances. We should have a comfortable level that we want the temperature in our house and the temperature of our bank account. And when that starts getting low, we turn it up. And in my case, in the real estate business, it's a eat what you kill business. So if ever I'm lacking in money, is because of my actions or inactions, right? So looking at this year is going to be health is my focus. So not just physical health, which I really should be focusing on. I spent a lot of time enjoying good food and wine this year. And all the years, who am I kidding? But it's
your adult life.
Yes, and it catches up. People used to talk about when you get older, everything hurts. And I thought, oh, be quiet, old man. And now I'm like, damn, everything hurts. It's true. Everything hurts. So,
you have to go to Symmetry in Folsom.
I am going to Symmetry January 4th.
Oh, so Patrick and Leanne.
Right.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay, keep
I
going.
met them while enjoying food and wine. We had it was a dinner for the Foothill Wine Competition, and all the winemakers who won, they had a big dinner, and the chef paired different.
We have to tell them that we're friends.
All right, I will. And they were seated right across from me, and I had been to their grand opening, and didn't know them, but been to the grand opening of their office a couple of years ago. And so anyway, we exchanged numbers, and Leanne called me and said, let's make an appointment. And so I'm going to be going there in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
They're wonderful. The aches and pains will either go away or be down to a very minimum. So,
and part of it, I'm sure, is going to be exercise and alignment and things that they'll do.
Twice.
And then part of it is going to be me pushing back from the table now and then, and being more careful about what I put in my body. I tend to not discriminate when it comes to food, and so I need to discriminate a little bit more. So I'm working on physical health, and then my relationships. I hope to make my relationships healthy. We all, I think, can use a little help in that regard. And then financially. So with your help, I've been raising my financial thermostat, and that's getting better, and I'm getting closer to someday buying my freedom.
Yes. Well, what I love is that you have an abundance mindset. Like, we can't take for granted how much of a gift it is to still have hope and vision, right? Like,
right.
If you're in your 20s and it's like, oh, I have a dream, I have a goal, okay, fine. And then it's like, okay, 30s, how young are you again? I keep asking people on the show this.
I'm going to be 63 in February.
Yeah. So you're 63, and every year you still have hopes, you have dreams, you have goals. Like, you'll be 90, and I know you're still going to be like, here's my word of the year. And, I just, right?
Right.
And Rosemary's going to be like, well, and here's how we're going to counterbalance it, but
yeah. Well, there's a show on PBS, Living in the 90s, and it was about a bunch of people who were in their 90s who were thriving. They weren't sitting in front of a window wishing they could be outside. One of them was a power walker. She was a competitive power walker. One of them was a musician that had a gig at a restaurant every Wednesday. This 90-some-year-old guy played saxophone in a band. One guy was retired, I think he was a professor. He got a job proofreading books, and the publisher would send him books all the time to read. He looked forward to that. And when they talked to them about their secrets to longevity, it wasn't a focus on longevity. It wasn't diet. It wasn't exercise. Most of them cited having something to look forward to and do, and one of them said, if you sit around waiting for the Grim Reaper, he's coming. So, I think that we can all kind of get stagnated in our lives, and but if we always have something to look for and believe there's an abundance of life yet to live out there, we're gonna have a great time for whatever that length of time is. And one last thing about that, I asked my wife, what countries are on your bucket list? And she said all of them. So, she wants to go everywhere. I do too. And that's one thing that she and I have in common. We love getting out and meeting people and seeing things all over the world.
Oh, okay. I have one last question. What do you do? Well, I'm sure you get down sometimes. Like,
yes.
Okay. So what do you do to keep an abundant mindset even when you get down?
I try not to dwell on it too long. I try to give myself a pep talk that it's another hiccup in the road that everybody goes through. I'm not going through anything that other people haven't, and that don't have the pity party too long, because the world keeps turning, whether you're happy or sad, whether you're in it or not. Somebody's going to buy a house, whether it's from me or somebody else. and everybody will mourn you when you die, and then they got to go back to work. So I try not to dwell on my problems too much, and then try to look for how I can resolve them. If they're resolvable, look for those resources and try to overcome.
You're amazing. You just gave me my pep talk.
All right.
Well, for everybody watching, if you ever are in the Folsom area and you want advice on restaurants, places to visit, things to do, call Steve. Also, of course, anybody wants to buy real estate in Folsom, I don't think there's anybody else that you should call, honestly. Steve knows everybody for anything that you need. So let's see, your phone number or your email. So Steve at steveherd.exp real.
Oh, here's an easier way.
Okay.
Steve at theherdgroup.com.
Perfect. So Steve at the herd, like herd, HEARD.
Yes.
Like I heard you. So yes. Steve at theherdgroup.com.
That's me.
Hey, yeah.
One more thing, that Linda, your assistant, asked me about a favorite charity. And yeah. I would like to mention the Folsom Cordova Community Partnership. It's a great organization. And, Folsom is a fairly wealthy community compared to the rest of the country and even to this region, yet there is a lot of need here. We have our own sections of poverty, and this group came out of the Folsom Cordova Unified School District. It was originally, I think, called the Schools Foundation, and then it spun off into this great organization that provides counseling services, everything from First Five and references for WIC and job training and housing, and they just do a great job, and it's largely grant and donation based. And so I think that they're a really deserving group fitting the need of serving the underserved in Folsom and Rancho Cordova. They're called the Folsom Cordova Community Partnership.
Okay, and so people can make donations.
Absolutely.
Okay, Folsom Cordova Community Partnership. So just Google it.
Yep.
Donations, absolutely. So thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks, Corey.
Yes, and everybody join us every Monday Motivations, 52 weeks to a more purposeful you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.